Everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for joining me today. Today we're going to be doing a product video. We're going to be checking out a brand new paint. It actually just came out on the market just a few short months ago, and it is by a friend of mine, Lilly Paints. So we're going to check out her paint today. This color is called Night Sky. She knows I'm a big fan of navies. She sent me 3 colors, and I'm choosing this one for the video today. So we're going to check out her paint. We're going to talk all things about it, and we're going to paint a piece. Now, normally I spray my pieces. I think today we are going to brush this piece, and we're going to be using Zibra brushes. So let's go ahead and get started. So I'm going to take one extra step here. I'm going to go ahead and scuff sand my piece. This piece in particular has a really shiny, slick feeling surface. So even though I used my deglosser, degreaser cleaner, I want to go ahead for best adhesion and make sure that I don't have a super shiny, slick surface. So I'm going to go ahead and take my sanding pad, and I'll link this in the comment section below because these are fantastic. You can get these off of Amazon, and you get like a 12 pack for $12. So they're fantastic. So I'm going to go ahead and do that step right now.
Okay, so I am using my Zibra brush today, and I absolutely love these Zibra brushes. They're great brushes at a great price point. Normally, you guys know I always use my Klingon brushes, but I want to give you guys a different product to try because not everybody wants to spend $35, $40 on a single paintbrush. The Zibra brushes are extremely affordable, and I have a discount code for you guys. I'm going to pop it up here on screen as well. It'll be in the show notes. The brush I'm using today is actually called a trim paintbrush, and the reason that I chose it for this, I really like its nice flat brush, but I like the fact that since I have so many different areas, different embellishments, different little crevices to get into, the trim brush is going to work really, really well for this project. All right, so as usual, I'm going to tell you guys the same thing I always tell you in all of my paint videos, and that is nice, light, even coats, thin coats. The idea is not to try to get the piece covered in one coat. However, you can see how great the coverage is firsthand. It's going on so incredibly nice. This paint has a thinner consistency than most. However, the coverage is still there. It's got great self-leveling properties, so I'm super anxious to see how it dries down and see if we truly get a brushstroke free finish. All right, here's our first coat. Let's wait and see what it looks like when it's dry. I'm super anxious.
Okay, you guys, so we're gonna go ahead and let that first coat really set up. It is cold today, if you can't tell by my attire. So I'm gonna really let this dry. I'm gonna give this at least 2 hours before we go back with the second coat. I do have to say though, I really like the way that this brush is on. The consistency is very nice. And you could see even, I went back around to the very first section that I started and tried to thin it out a little bit because I put it on a little bit heavy. So it just goes on so nicely and it levels really nice. I can see it right now drying and kind of starting to set up, and it's looking fantastic. So we're gonna come back in about 2 hours and do our second coat. As you can see, I'm working with a circular table, so I did try to get around all angles for you guys to be able to really get in there and see what I was doing. I'm also working with different directions and different embellishments and lots of crevices, so I'm not too terribly worried. The idea is to always layer on your paint. Go on nice, thin, even coats. Don't try to cover everything at once, because that's how you end up with lots of runs or globs or it taking a lot longer to dry. So, you know, you can probably see, I'm going to show you up close the first coat, and you can probably see a lot of areas that still need paint. Not worried about it. I'm going to pick those up on my second coat, and if I have to do a third in certain spots, I will. Show you guys I'm almost dry. I have a couple of little spots that still need to dry in some of these areas here, but I wanted to show you how smooth. I'm blown away. Blown away. Brushing this with my Zibra brush and this paint together, the combination has created the smoothest finish. Now you can see I've got peek through. We're only on coat 1, so that's going to get covered up with coat 2. I am just showing you how incredibly smooth. Look at that finish. The smoothness of that finish, it's just beautiful. So I just want to tell you that you can absolutely get a smooth brush stroke free finish with the right tools and the right products, and these two are a great pairing. So let's talk about the paint itself. What kind of paint is it? How much does it cost? Where can you get it? All of those good things. So this is a water-based chalk finish like paint. Now, do you have to top coat it? You don't have to. I always recommend top coating pieces that are real heavily used, high traffic pieces. It's just going to extend the life of your piece and give it really great durability. So it's not a must-have, but I definitely would recommend it. It dries 1 to 2 hours in between coats. That's going to depend on your climate. So, you know, if you're in a high humidity type situation, you're probably going to yield a longer dry time. And if you're in a warmer, dry climate, obviously sooner. Rule of thumb for me is always about that 1 hour range, but I'll check it before just to make sure. Err on the side of caution if you're not sure, and go the full 2 hours. It comes in 34 colors. She has released so many new beautiful colors. You can find it on lilymoonpaint.com, and there are retailers, so check her website to see if there's a local retailer close to you. Okay, so price point on this is $13.99 up to $34.99, and it comes in 3 sizes, the 8 ounce, the 16, and the 32. So there's lots of options there, and it's very competitive as far as the price point. So now I didn't record second coat. You guys have seen me do the first coat, so I figured I just went ahead off camera and did the second coat. I will tell you, I'm gonna get in really close. You guys, does that not look like a sprayed finish? It is just amazing. Using my Zibra brush and the Lily Moon paint together, it is a winning combination. 2 coats, I would say I do not need any more. The only thing I'm gonna do is flip the table over and see if I've got any little, you know, areas that I may have missed, like down here under the feet. But I'm blown away. This is amazing. Look at that coverage, 2 coats. It is super smooth. It's not gritty feeling. It's not chalky feeling. I didn't know what I was gonna do in the beginning of the video, and so you didn't see me do the apron here. I've got 1 coat on the apron there, so I'm gonna show you that. I mean, just look at that smoothness. So I do have to do a second coat here, then I'm gonna flip the table, and then we will talk more about it. So it goes on really, really smooth, very, very easy to work with. It levels very nicely, and it dries down super, super smooth as well.
Started sanding the tabletop, and we're going to talk in just a minute more in detail about the process, but I started to do it and then I stopped so that I could share with you guys this part of the process.
Okay, I stopped about a quarter of the way through because I wanted to tell you guys what it is that I'm using and why I am doing it in this video. So I get asked a lot of questions about sanding veneer. This table has a veneer top, and so I wanted to showcase that as part of the video as well, since I decided that I'm going to go ahead and stain the top. So I'm using my Mirka Deros 5.0 Orbital sander. On here, I am using Pro Sand sandpaper. Normally, I will switch back and forth between Pro Sand, which is an excellent brand, and Abranet. I'm out of the Abranet in the grit that I wanted to start with. I am starting with a very, not a very aggressive grit. I'm starting with 120. Normally, on solid wood, I would start with an 80 grit or 100 grit. Because it's veneer and I don't want to take a chance of burning through, and you can absolutely stain veneers, you just have to be very cautious. I'm starting with a 120 grit and I'm going to end at 150, possibly 180 if I feel like I need it to be smoother, but that way I don't have an opportunity to burn through. I'm also changing my setting here so that it's kind of on a slower setting. It's not really fast or aggressive either. So that's the key when you're sanding veneer, is to put your setting down so that your orbital is not spinning crazy out of control, and start with a higher grit sandpaper. Now it will take you a tad bit longer to break through that finish than if you were to start with a real aggressive grit, but then you don't have that same risk of burning through. Okay, so we've got the first pass done. Now I'm going to go ahead and start with the 150 grit. And the key is not only letting the orbital sander do the movement for itself, but on a piece where it's veneer like this, I'm constantly moving my hand with the orbital as well so that it never sits in one spot at all, and it's constantly moving along the piece. That is what can cause burn through, is if you let that orbital sit and spin in one particular area. So as you can see in the video, I'm constantly moving the orbital as well. So that will also help. And also when you get to the edges are where everybody tends to burn through. So I tend to just go even lighter with my pressure, and I back down the speed even more.
The color I chose for this was Varathane Kona. Due to the undertones of the table, I think the dark Kona is going to look best. I think choosing Kona for this wood species and the base paint color just came out really, really well together. And I just wanted to show you, look at all that paint I still have. I hardly used any. The coverage is so fantastic.
That is it. We're at the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching today. I hope that video was helpful for you guys. I love going old school and brushing, but just stay tuned because in the very near future, I'm going to be using this paint in my sprayer as well, just to check it out and see how that application works too. Thank you so much for being subscribers. If you are not subscribed to my channel, please go hit that subscribe button and the post notification bell so that you can get notified when all of my latest videos come out. It helps support my YouTube channel and keeps me going. Thank you again so much. If you guys have any positive comments or questions, please make sure you leave them down below, as I love engaging with you guys and I will always get back with you. Thanks, and I'll catch you on the next video. I just wanted to add a little end note to the video here. Next day, I am looking at my project and I absolutely love it. This was so beautiful being brushed on, and you guys know I spray the majority of my projects. So it was a true test to see how it was going to work for me and if I liked the paint, and it's phenomenal. This is the first time in a video that I've actually done this, where I have spoken up and committed to something right off the bat after a one-time use. And I am going to continue to use this Lily Moon paint. I loved it. So much so that I'm going to become a content creator for Lily Moon paint, which I'm super excited about, which means you're going to see regular content and pieces from me that will be done in this paint line. Can't wait to use more colors, and I would highly recommend it. Don't forget you can use my discount code BORNINABARN10 to get your 10% off your order.